Hi guys, it's Tim with Inflatable Office Event Office, and I wanted to show you today a little bit of our vendor tools. Actually, it's going to go through the majority of those tools. We've been talking a lot about how to handle the upcoming busyness that you're going to see here as things start to really kick off, and we've been discussing mostly the workers module and some of the benefits that you can achieve through that in preparing your workforce for everything that's coming. But one of the things that people were using the workers module for originally were for entertainers and vendors and subcontractors that they worked with to get information to and from them. And we had since developed some vendor tools that, in our opinion, are a better way of doing that. There's definitely some advantages to using the workers module for the vendor tools, and you might find that you like that or you prefer that, or maybe you prefer what I'll show you today with the vendor tools. You're also welcome to use both to help manage that. And we're going to continue to improve these tools over time as well. Anyway, let's get started. In Inflatable Office and Event Office, what you have is a vendors area here that you can go to, and this is kind of new fairly new to our system. You can see that we've got a bunch of vendors in here that we've added in, and you can add these in manually if you want. You can put a markup in and all sorts of different things. Um, so the best way to do this, though, is if you're working with another vendor and they're also using Inflatable Office, is to add them through sharing of items. If you want to share some of your items, your inventory items, so other people can subcontract you, it's pretty simple to do. You would come in and choose one of your items. And let's see, that is not how you do it. You would come in and take an item and go down to the advanced section and mark it as a shared item right here. The other thing you could do is when you're creating an item, if you know it's going to be shared, you can just create it as a shared item and it'll automatically set some stuff for you. But what I want to do is show you how to share someone else's items. Let's first add a vendor. Let's say we have a friend that we know or someone in the area from Big Rentals LLC who's shared some items to the Inflatable Office Event Office world, and we want to go ahead and make them one of our vendors and use some of their items. We're just going to simply click that, and that has then turned them into one of our vendors. So we can see if we were to search in here, we find it. We search in here, we see that we have that person now added into our system, and we can edit that and make adjustments to that record if we needed to. The next step would be to go to your inventory. So in your inventory here, we're going to want to now add items that they shared with us. And there's a couple ways to do that. So one, we can go here to available vendor items, and we're going to see only those available vendor items that people have shared with us, and we could find by searching that item there. The other thing we can do is click the drop down here and do add vendor item. It gives a little message giving a little more help about how this works. But we're then just to start searching for what we know we're looking for. And as we type it in, it's going to find some things. So then we could just click this item here and it would fill it all in for us and show us, what we might, it kind of takes some things from that account and fills it in just to kind of get you started. The other option is just when you're adding inventory. If you were to type in something, we're going to search our database of things that are available from manufacturers, but you're also going to see vendor stuff show up. So there you go. So you can do it right from there as well. So just like you're adding normal inventory. So once you've got your inventory in, and I guess I'll go ahead and add that one just to show you some of the rest of the stuff. Oh, and one of the things that you have to do here, if you want, so you don't have to pay for vendor items in our system. So we give you item limits and stuff like that on the Inflatable Office plans, and you don't have to pay for those or have those charged against your account unless you want to add a category to them. So once you add a category, it'll then show up on your website, a lot of your quote pages, and it's a little more available to you from the leads page. But you don't have to do that. So if we don't want to do that, we just add it like that. This is just something that we're going to use when we need to use it. Maybe it's in addition to other items that we already are selling. Maybe it's not something that we're necessarily advertising, so we're not going to add a category at this time. But you can add a category; it'll work the same way. So anyway, we have that added, and so I'm going to go over here, and we're going to go ahead and add it to this event now. So since it's not in a category, I'm going to have to search for it, which is really easy and quick to do. So we do not check availability on these sort of items the normal way. The way availability is checked on these is by querying the vendor and asking the vendor if the stuff is available or not. So if I click here, you'll see we have a contract section thing link in here, because for a vendor item, there's additional things that we would want to do down in the contract section. So I'm going to go ahead and save what I have right now so that the contract section knows that I have added a vendor. So now I can come down here, and we're set up to send our contract, our normal template, to the customer. Well, now what I need to do is I need to add a PO, because let's say the event has, well, let me step back 1 second here. So if we're still in a quote process now, once we've saved that quote with that vendor information on it, what we're going to see over here is we have a couple automatic emails that can go out. One of them this will send to the vendor based on when the quote was done, and it'll ask them what's available of the stuff that you're trying to use of theirs. When they click this, it takes them to a page, and from that page they can tell you if it's available or not, what they want to charge you for it, and make any other notes as well. So, and there's a number of other emails in here. One is purchase order, which we're going to go look at making here in a minute, and then also a reminder email that can go to them to make sure they don't forget about the event. So anyway, let's get the purchase order. So this is the purchase order, and of course purchase orders are in with the contract templates here. That's a category, and you can set that up to look like whatever you want. That's the default one that we give you. But you can choose this purchase order, and then let's see here. I think I need to refresh that. All right, so we have this saved here. This is showing us it's a vendor item. I do have additional vendor things here. It shows availability, so if they don't respond through that email, and we also show cost here, you can mark those if you want manually if they don't respond via the email. But let's go back down here to the contract section and see if there we go. So now it's in there. It had to refresh there for us to see it, but it's only going to put the vendors in here that coincide with the items that you've added above. So we know that one's going to be in there. So we're going to go ahead and say we need to add that one in. That's a snapshot now. And we're going to go ahead and switch this back to being our default contract for our customer. So that default contract is ready to go. This one is saved. It's saved as a point in time, and the vendor then can go to that. We'll go ahead and view that so you can see what that looks like. Here's the purchase order, and then they have the ability to sign it by opening that right there. So just like they would do with a contract. So those sort of things. So once you upgrade the status to like a reserved status, that auto email for the purchase order will go out. Actually, no, it looks like the purchase order is manual. So the automatic ones are the quote that goes out, and then the event reminder. The purchase order, it will not go out unless you send it. So once you've decided this is what we want to do, we do want to create this purchase order and send it out to them, you would simply come in here and after you've added it, click the email, and it fills in the information, and then you just click send to send the purchase order. So it's that simple. The differences between what this does and what the workers module does is, we don't have that login site for the vendors to use. We don't have a schedule on a calendar. They have to manage that on their own. If they're using InflatableOffice, this is no big deal to do this. because they're doing a lot of that stuff anyway. If they're not, I'm sure that they may have some other software that they're using. Don't forget as well that in the case of a vendor item, you can set custom times if you want. So you can set a custom time for that if it doesn't occur through the entire event. So anyway, that was a quick crash course on how we do vendor items, and I tried to give you as much as I could there without taking too much of your time. So my apologies if I went quickly. You'll just have to use that pause button on YouTube and make sure that you can follow me here as you're setting up your stuff. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. We'll talk to you soon.